Go AI on the go. We're here at the Louisville Thoroughbred Society, here with a very special guest. Would you mind introducing yourself to our audience? Say who you are and who you're with.
Sure. So my name is Tim Corcoran, and I've actually just started my own consulting company in the manufacturing industry. I have 25 years experience in the manufacturing industry, mostly related to automation. So I started as an automation design engineer, building automation projects all throughout the world. So for most of my career, I worked for a company called Jabil. A lot of people haven't heard of them, but they're the second or third largest contract manufacturer in the world, depending on the year, right? They fluctuate a little bit. But they have about 280,000 employees worldwide, nearly 100 sites worldwide. So I lived in Germany for a year and a half. I lived in Malaysia for a year. I lived in Singapore for a year. Probably spent 2 or 3 years of my life in China. Probably spent a year of my life in Taiwan. A ton of time in Hungary. So I've been all over the world doing manufacturing. And basically NPI projects, new product introduction, introducing new automation lines for some of the biggest companies in Silicon Valley. You probably have some of the devices in your pocket right now of projects I've worked on. I relocated from California to Louisville about 3 years ago, and I decided to go out on my own and start doing some manufacturing consulting. And a big part of that is AI. AI is a huge buzzword now. So like 2010, 2011, around there, at that time, the big buzzwords were automation and big data. So you travel around the world, and everybody would talk about automation, like how to, and nobody really understood it though. So it was interesting when I got there. That was my specialty, my background. So that's one of the reasons I traveled around the world. So I would help facilities all over the world install these automation lines for new products. One of the other key words, big data. We discussed that, and I would ask questions like, so all these facilities would collect terabytes of data, every piece of data you could possibly imagine. But I asked, okay, so what are we doing with this? We're spending a lot of money collecting and storing this data, managing it, and I'd always get answers like, hey, oh, well, we might do this, or we could do that, or maybe down the line we'll do this, but nobody was really actually using that data. And I know they're using it now. But that's kind of where I feel AI is right now in manufacturing. It's a buzzword, but what are we actually doing with it? I know they talk about like camera systems, especially for inspection, they're using AI, which is obviously a huge help. I mean, we've been doing that for 20 years. Take a picture, find defects, reject or pass the product, on you go. So I have not used the new AI inspection systems. I'd imagine they're significantly better because I know it's supposed to find new defects and things like that. But I have a lot of questions around it since I haven't used it. How do you train it? What if a defect that it thinks it found isn't in fact a defect? So I'm very interested to see where this goes and how the AI develops in the manufacturing world.
To start off with, automation versus AI. Can we get it a little bit into the distinction? Because some people just think of those as synonymous, but really there is a distinction. How would you cut the distinction between automation and AI?
You're exactly right in that point. So I have many discussions with people. So automation, you have a robotic arm, which is what I'm used to, or some kind of device that you want to move. You write code to move that around. Now people think automation is magic. What automation actually does is just do the same thing over and over and over again. So if you have any process that's very repeatable, it needs to press this part into this board repeatedly, boom, it'll do it 100,000 times a day, not think twice about it. Repeatedly, again and again and again. And then you can develop code which makes it seem intelligent, but it's really just following the line of code. If this happens, do this. If you can't place the part in there, reject the part. So it's not really thinking, it's just following the lines of code. And honestly, AI, so when you use ChatGPT, it's really a superpowered search engine, right? It searches the webs for all the information, distills it down, and gives you an answer. So that's kind of, I guess what I'm saying is, when you search the web for something, you take it's kind of like how a human works, right? If you were to research a project, you're going to read a book, read a magazine, go to YouTube, distill a lot of information down, you researched it, and now you're going to learn about that. You might write a little paper, hey, here's what I learned. That's what AI does as far as the normal people know every day. Whereas automation, as I said, it's kind of like a standard. It does what you tell it to and only that. So integrating the two, if you can run a new product down the line, it can take a couple pictures and say, hey, I've seen this before. I've seen this, this is a pattern. We've done something similar to this a year ago or on another line. Let's take that same idea and implement it here.
Oh, yeah.
At least that's the way I see it, because I've had lots of talks with people saying, oh, we're implementing AI. It's like, is it really AI or is it just more advanced code? So what is the distinction? And I don't think there's really a defined answer to that question right now, which is one of the reasons I'm really trying to learn more about it and develop my skills in that area.
And to get back into AI in manufacturing, there are, like you said, it's a bit of a buzzword among many in the manufacturing industry. Have you been seeing any innovative uses that have stood out to you so far?
It's interesting. So there's a lot of innovative uses where they say they're using AI. My question is it really AI or is it advanced programming? And I don't think anybody has an answer to that yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
To me, AI is something that can think on its own and make decisions, which I know they're starting to do, but I haven't seen like this amazing project that would indicate that system is thinking on its own and building that product without any intervention. You're writing complex code to consider every scenario, but it's really just advanced programming, advanced automation. To me, that is an AI. So that's where where are we headed with this?
Let's take the example of predictive maintenance, which is often lumped under AI, the AI umbrella of, it has all this data about any given manufacturing facility. It's drawing data from the different machines and assembly line, technology, and predicting like, hey, at this time, 3 months from now, it might break down, or you might need repair at this time would be the best to get the most out of, the most bang for your buck from this system. Do you believe that to be like a strong example of AI, or do you think that could be high-level programming?
I think we're headed in that direction. But 20 years ago, we were putting accelerometers on spindles. So a spindle spins nice and smooth at a high rate of speed. Over time, it's going to develop certain vibrations. So then you program it to, hey, once you hit this frequency or this amplitude, whatever the findings are, replace the bearings. So you're not waiting for something to happen. You're preemptively fixing issues, maintaining the equipment so it'll run longer. So once again, that's my question. Is that advanced programming and automation, or is a computer really thinking for itself and just determining? Like a human can walk up and say, hey, that doesn't look quite right. Let me take a look.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, we're not really doing that yet. It's not like the AI is like, oh, I see something wrong there. You might want to check that out. It's like you program it what to look for. When it finds that, it lets you know, which to me is automation. It's not quite AI.
Yeah, a key characteristic, I think, of AI is just the generalizability. And so instead of having, a program or like an algorithm that's custom fit for a certain manufacturing facility, like a great AI program will be able to readily adapt to any kind of facility, structure that you can kind of throw its way, and it can readily kind of go like, okay, here's where you need to, repair at this point, or maybe replace at this point. Maybe that's one way of testing, hey, are we talking about AI, or are we talking about just, again, high-level automation?
So that's what I'm fascinated by. So software, what are the constraints there? Really time, right? You can program any piece of equipment to do almost anything. But how much time do you have to do that, right? At some point, you've got to cut it off and say, okay, this is what the machine does. This is its capability. We're done.
Yep.
So the goal would be, can AI do that on the fly? Take all its prior learnings and say, hey, this is a product I haven't seen before. I know it needs to be done because we've done it before, and can I now go ahead and do that? So, I mean, you spend weeks, months, if you have a new product, like programming all the automation to run this new board or this. My background is EMS, so electronic manufacturing services. A lot of circuit boards, consumer electronics. So if you program it to run that board or run that consumer electronic device, whether that be a phone or whatever it is, it does exactly that. But can it look back the last 5 years? So it's like, oh yeah, 2 years ago we did a phone by manufacturing X. Last year we did a phone by manufacturing Y. Let's combine those two together with no operator or technician intervention and teach the line. It's called teaching. So when you have a robot go to pick something up and place it, you teach the robot how to do that. You write the code and then you tell it, hey, go to this point right here. That's called teaching. And move to that location here and do a press operation or whatever you happen to need. So the question is, can the AI just take that background information and say, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me anything. I will do it myself. And then you can get a new product up in hours or days. That would be ideal, right? Rather than having a line down for a week or a month, teaching it this new product and how to assemble it. I mean, that's a game changer.
I'll leave you with one last question because I'm not sure when exactly we're going to be starting in there. But what would be on your wish list for AI in manufacturing? If there's like any product or like AI, I mean, it can be as futuristic as you want.
So there's two parts to that. Number one is the predictive maintenance, which we already talked about, which, once again, I don't even know where we are really right now. From what I've seen, it's really just advanced programming. If you sense this, that means this, so put out this message.
Yep.
What if we don't tell it? It just knows, hey, last time you did a bearing, we saw some wobble, so we stopped the machine. This time, may not be a bearing application, but some are similar. This normally operates in this. Basically, your operating standards are changing. So automatically it knows something's wrong, and let's go figure out the answer. Let's post an error message. Let's get the technicians to come over, take a look, or replace, or repair, or whatever needs to be done.
Yep.
That's one. Two is exactly what I just said. So if you introduce a new product, do you have to spend those days, weeks, months retraining the entire? It's one thing to have one piece of equipment. You could probably do that in a day or two. But when you have a line, you know, I've seen lines that are 80 meters, 100 meters long, start to finish, and you got to go through each piece of equipment and say, okay, here's a new product. Make sure it fits. Now you're teaching all these new points. You send this product down the road or down the line. Maybe you show it a finished good, and it can just assess how to get there. It knows what tools it has, and it just automatically says, okay, yeah, I have to do that. I need to do this, press here, move here, do that, do this.
All right. Awesome. Any last words of wisdom you have for our audience about using AI in your personal life?
I use ChatGPT, Gemini as much as I can just to keep up with the new technologies and learn about it. And I'm really fascinated to see, we're in an exciting time. Where are we going to be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Tim. Go AI on the go. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.